It's a bright and beautiful morning here at our studio in Lagos. Wow, it's the weekend already. And it's truly been an amazing ride with our women's series here at the Breakfast Team from Monday. And now it is Friday. Good morning and welcome to Ways Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? We're thrilled as always to start the day with you, our valued viewers. And on this vibrant, youthful platform, we tackle the conversations that matter most and concerns the very important demographic of the society, the youth. Get your seatbelt ready for an awesome ride with your pilot for today. My name is Oluchi Omenka, and I've been joined by the talented, delectable God's Beauty, Israel, a.k.a. the Lady Vibe.
Hello, good morning. Pilot, how are you?
I'm good. I'm thinking about that career like this. I'm like, pilots, I think they make some good income.
I think
maybe I should consider, pivoting. But how have you been, though?
I'm good. I feel like this week was in a rush. Yeah, no, it's Friday.
It's so Nigerian. No. It's actually Friday, and guess what's happening tomorrow?
Tell me what's going on tomorrow.
It's nothing serious. It's what we celebrate every March 8th, the International Women's Day. The fact that you cannot remember it.
So that's not it. When you said guess what's happening tomorrow, I was thinking it was Owambe, understand? I'm so sorry, that's what came to mind.
I don't plan to go for any Owambe.
The way you said it, like the last one you went didn't go well.
Enjoy their love story on their own. Let us make our money.
But people.
No, that's not it. But what do you think about the International Women's Day celebration with the news, that's been happening now? There are
the Natasha case.
Well, apart from the Natasha case, the Punch has some interesting story about a woman that was abused by the Nigerian Air Force yesterday or so. So somebody now put on their story that, wow, it's Women's Day and we're seeing stories like this recurring. Honestly. How's it going to look like? And of course, when it comes to celebrations like this, there's a lot of emotions and sentiment. We want to advocate for women. So when we're seeing that there are some things not going well, it seems to put a lot of questions in our minds. But I think I'm excited about it. Every opportunity to put women at the forefront, to let women have or show their capacity and be empowered is something I would always subscribe for. And that's why from Monday till today, we've spoken. In fact, the way we have talked about women this week, honestly, I have never been more proud to be a woman. And today is not any different. We have a seasoned guest with us who is going to open up the fashion industry for us and empowerments that can come from that. Of course, we'll take a short break now. We have Today in History. And when we come back, we'll look at the major headlines in today's paper. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you for sticking with us. Remember that you are the main ingredient in all of our conversations, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please, our phone lines are open. Call us on 07025007749 or 07014242420. And if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, head on now to our official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button, like, share the link, tune in to channel 145 on your GoTV, and do not miss this at all. We're going to be diving into the papers this morning. We'll be scanning the pages of the Punch, the Guardian, and of course the Independent paper. I'll be starting with our Nigerian paper, the Punch newspaper. The headline is quite amazing. The major one reads 6-month suspension. Natasha heads for court as NBA and others knock Senate. Kogi senator's lawyer says suspension is illegal. PDP kicks. Senate insists its rules violated. Sanwo-Olu opens new road, promises more infrastructure. Litigation won't stop Alaafin's coronation. 4 billion naira debt. Air Force men attack IKEDC and brutalize Punchman and others. Alleged fraud. Ex-minister detained in EFCC facility. And above the major headline says, federal government designates Simon Ekpa and 16 others terrorism funders. Rivers crisis. Police vow to crush militants threatening oil production. Nigerians pay highest airfares in Africa, says NCAA. And marketers worry as 5-month fuel imports hit 6 trillion naira. Of course, I want to talk about this story of the Air Force versus the IKEDC. And it was really appalling. Firstly, before I even saw it on the Punch, I saw it on someone's page I follow on Instagram. And it claims them that an administrative head in IKEDC, known to be a woman, was actually, she was manhandled, let me just use that word. She was put into the boots. You know, these guys, the Nigerian Air Force came in there and they ransacked everywhere, did some really terrible stuff. Even the pressmen that were there, at least the Punch newspaper highlighted that a Punchman was also brutalized. I think he said he got a punch in his left eye, their camera, their tripod, things broke, and I can say it was a really violent one. If you want to know what caused this, well, it's been acclaimed that the Nigerian Air Force have a debt of about 4 billion naira. Now, is that not an incredible debt? It is. And because IKEDCE, they are bound under law to, of course, disconnect if you are owing. They do that to regular citizens. If you're owing, they disconnect your light. And that's what happened. But it seems like the Nigerian Air Force did not take that. They didn't take that lightly. They felt probably insulted and went in there to ransack. And there are a lot of questions to ask. What gives you such right to do that? Is it because you are in the military in that sense? You have some sort of power and authority. What exactly binds these people? This is already looking, because the brutality here is not just for the IKEDCE people, but also for the press. There's something we call press freedom. How can we have people from the press go there to capture this story and you brutalize them? It's not a very funny one. I'm talking about this. I'm also very edgy. Hope they do not come here to boo. But a lot of things needs to be looked into. 4 billion naira is huge debt.
It's a lot of money.
It's huge. Except you've signed, maybe there's some contract that's gone behind the scene where probably they're not supposed to disconnect until a given period of time so that you can pay back the loan. Except maybe there was such contract and then they went out of their way to now disconnect. But if there wasn't, it wasn't mentioned in the story.
Even if there's a contract, that doesn't mean you have to act the way you acted. That doesn't make any sense. How would you be? It is okay for you to go there and probably try to talk things out with them.
Yes.
Because, literally you're owing. So it just makes it, like you said, that they
4 billion is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And if you turn this the other way, if citizens are the one who go into these areas, maybe to do some protest or something, they do not take it lightly. But then you're coming into a private organization in that sense to ransack. If you just even brought them in for questioning or, some deliberations here and there, it's better than being brutal. The people I feel for the most are the pressmen that were at the center of this. You know when they say it went to elephant fights? It's the grass that suffer. But let's see if we get the end of the story. Moving on to the Independent.
That's a lot. All right, moving on to the Independent newspaper. We have at the top headline says the influence list 2025 most exceptional women. Main news story, which is the last headline there, says Russia wants PM, that's the Prime Minister's peace plan would trigger direct war. So the headline I want to quickly talk on. Obviously, I'll be touching on both of them. So let me start from the one that featured the women, which is the Influence List 2025 Most Exceptional Women. And, given that you made mention of how important tomorrow is, I just like the fact that this paper took their time to, state this out. I don't think I've seen it in any newspaper of recent about, celebrating women and all of that. So the Independent newspaper has released its Influence List for 2025, recognizing the most exceptional women who have made significant contribution in in various fields, including politics, media, business, and activism. Honestly, I love the fact that they took their, they took of all the news to, put out there, they felt it was important to talk about women.
This one.
Yes, I really love it. Yeah, it's super important, actually. Then moving on to the next one that says, Russia warns Prime Minister's peace plan will trigger direct war. Let me quickly read out the details. Here, the UK Prime Minister has proposed a peace plan for Ukraine, which includes sending peacekeeping troops from up to 20 countries to help stabilize the region. Russia, however, sees this move as a provocation and warns that it could lead to direct war. The situation is significant because it affects global security. If peacekeeping troops are deployed in Ukraine, it could escalate tensions between the NATO countries and Russia. Some believe this will help Ukraine defend itself, while Russia sees it as a foreign interference. Now, if Russia views this peace plan as a direct threat, it might respond with military action. I want to first start with the fact that it feels like these two countries are not ready for a ceasefire and a peace. Yeah, because that's the way it's looking. Now, we've had the European leaders, go to speak to the Russians and say, okay, we want there to be like ceasefire and for this war to come to an end. And we don't know how productive that has been. Now, you see the Prime Minister of the UK Prime Minister coming out to also do the same thing. Now, he's sending, we know how from his own angle, how he has tried to, add in more money for their own military to be strong and all of that. Remember we had that conversation.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
And now he's taking his time to ensure that, okay, this whole war thing comes to an end. And we have the Russians saying that this is giving international interference. I don't know how that is because you guys are still in, you guys are under a continent, so you guys are supposed to be like brothers. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Then moving on to the Ukraine, I don't know how best to explain to this, Zelensky, right? That you're not able to actually fight the Russians. So it just makes sense that you actually, just relieve yourself from all of this stress. You only want to complain that it's disturbing you and you want to, leave the seat.
I'm wondering if there are different versions to this story because I think I read one of these international television stations that said, of course, Zelensky came out to mention that the meeting he had at the Oval Office was regrettable. That's the statement he used. That it was so regrettable. He probably didn't get what he wanted, but he was stating there that he's actually considering a ceasefire in that sense.
Then that should happen. That should happen because
away from this story.
I am so tired. The fact that a newspaper had to also take this part like very, very, because it literally it was the main headline here.
Seizing fire means he's going to lose a lot of things as well.
We know that, right? But it is better than having to continue the war. True. When you continue the war, then you lose even what you have now. Do you understand? There are some territories that the Russians are already taking. Let them be.
With these territories.
Yes, okay, do you want to now fight and they will take all? Because we know
it's a dicey one like you mentioned.
It was written on the news that Trump is not going to assist these people in any way. Even till today, that conversation is still held. We know Trump is not going to assist you with military aid except you bring, mineral resources. You understand? So we already have that conversation. You don't have the power to be able to, hold the Russians. So just go for a ceasefire. Let's just go for a ceasefire. I'm tired of having this. I don't want to talk about this next week.
I want to give this wrong advice. I want to say retreat now and then go and build yourself and your nation. Then come back in 20 years.
He will leave the fight. How did they say that?
I don't know how
live
they
to fight another day.
Retreat now and come back in 20 years. In fact, go for United States.
Maybe this is not Lollywood.
All right, let me take you through the Guardian newspaper. Some interesting stories here too.
All right.
It says 10th Assembly pro-people legislation shadowed by House drama intrigues. Furor as Senate claims 6-month suspension on Akpoti Uduaghan. DHQ queries Nigerians' terrorism. Index ranking as federal government freezes assets of terror's financiers. Air Force personnel invade IKEDC office, allegedly assault workers over power disconnection. Federal government plans new rehabilitation camp for bandits and terrorists. Above the major headline, it says court orders permanent forfeiture of $1.4 million fund linked to Emefiele. And militants threaten oil installation attacks and rivers order evacuation. The last story here reads, Tinubu approves 80% dialysis subsidy and hires 774 national health fellows. I don't want to talk about this Natasha story because I don't want to talk about it again.
I feel like it's actually very heartbreaking. When I heard of the whole...
It is heartbreaking.
Yes.
A lot of things
months, that's a lot, or half a year.
half a year with a lot of things gone as well.
And we know how it is in politics now. Once, imagine she not being, you know, being on seat and all of that for complete 6 months. It's almost like maybe you're done with politics. But I mean,
interesting. But tomorrow is International Women's Day. I was going to ask you this question. Can you tell me at least 2 or 3 women that so inspire you? You were not expecting this question. That really inspire you, and you've seen them broken barriers in their different spheres and endeavors. See, you don't even have to think the known or popular women. It can just be someone in your space that many people do not know her, but you have seen the incredible work that she has done. So tell me, let's be inspired.
Okay. So
away from the bad stories.
I'm so sorry, but I have to start with my mom first.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Then that's one. Nancy Simmer. You should know that that's coming next.
Nancy Simmer, definitely, definitely.
Then I think of recent, with the stories I've been hearing about Funke Akindele, I think she
inspires you.
Yeah, it's important that I mention her. So yeah.
So that means if I can link all these people, it's related to entertainment, film.
Okay, so my mom.
And your mom, that's family. So I'll go too. I'll say my mom as well. She inspires me greatly, very hard-working woman. And then I have a long list. I cannot exhaust them. But of course, I'm going to mention our creative director here at Parallax, Osayuwame Saleh. She's an inspiring woman, always breaking the barrier. And then there's also another mentor that I look up to a whole lot, Mujibade Shosonya. I do not know if you know her. She's an excellent corporate communication executive, and they're doing awesomely well. So you can see all the linkage has to do with what we're doing. And we also have another incredible woman that is joining us on the set today. Honestly, I don't want to spoil, I don't want to, what's that what they say in movie? You don't want to spill the tea yet. I want you to get to meet her yourself. Of course, we'll do that after this short break. We're discussing women empowerment, but we're looking at the fashion industry and how economic development can happen through that. We'll take a short break now, and then we'll return with our guests for the conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back, viewers. Today's topic is on women leading innovation and economic transformation in fashion. As we close our women's series this week, we turn our attention to an industry that blends creativity with commerce, culture with innovation. That is fashion. And more than just an aesthetic pursuit, fashion is a powerful driver of economic transformation, job creation, and global influence. Across Africa, women are not just shaping trends, but they are redefining the very business models that sustain the industry. And one of such visionary is Damilola Ademilokun, a fashion career consultant, researcher, and business strategist. And through Obsidian Advisory Africa and the Fashion Career Summit and Fair, she has carved out opportunities for emerging talent and positioned African fashion professionals on the global stage. With extensive experience working with top African fashion organizations and a strong academic foundation, Damilola has pioneered strategies that bridge the gap between fashion education and industry success. She's also the author of How to Break into Africa's Fashion Industry and the founder of the first Fashion Career Fair in West Africa, a groundbreaking initiative that connects aspiring professionals with opportunities in the field. Today, as we discuss women leading innovation and economic transformation in fashion, we also explore the evolving landscape of Africa's fashion industry, its economic potential, and the bold steps being taken to ensure sustainability, inclusivity, and global competitiveness. Welcome, Damilola. First of all, you look gorgeous. As expected, if we're having a fashion icon in the house, trust them to come looking like they want to be simple, but then they still come to take over the show. You look amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. So I want to talk about fashion industry. You know, it's the Women's Week, right? And a lot of people from the beginning of this week, we've spoken about different challenges and opportunities as well available for women in this space. But today, it seems like we're streamlining it to the fashion industry. I want to ask, with your experiences so far and the several initiatives, you know, to connect fashion talent with career opportunities, what are the biggest gaps in Africa's fashion industry, and how do we begin to bridge them?
Wow, that's a very big question.
We're ready for the big answer.
Okay, so when you look at many other industries as compared to fashion, you find that the music industry has found a way to promote itself. There's a lot of order. Same with the movie industry, the filmmaking industry. They've been able to come together. That's like there's an aggregation of leading voices. They're able to create policies, put order around the entire industry. The fashion industry is just getting to that phase. You know, we've had existing pioneers. We've had people who have gone ahead to put Nigerian fashion, African fashion on the global scene. For example, Omoyemi Akerele, the founder of Lagos Fashion Week. But we're also at the point where we need to do more. We need to find a way to quicken the system building around talent finding opportunities with ease. They would categorize fashion as a vocational thing, but gone are those days when it's just a vocation. It's now a profession. I mean, the way football at some point was considered a taboo in some families or a hobby, like you said. Now fashion is now the next big thing in terms of economic opportunities for Nigeria, for Africa. Within Africa alone, Nigerian fashion is leading. You know, yes, you can talk about Southern African fashion, but we're saying when it comes to creativity, when it comes to designers, when it comes to brands, Nigerian fashion would literally take about 7 out of 10 on the list. However, we need to do a lot of work behind the stage. I mean, you know, back end, there needs to be a lot of order. We need to find a way to create structure, how people find opportunities, where do they go to, how people get certified, what kind of protocols do we have for our production. I mean, there's a lot of order that still needs to be achieved. We have many businesses in Nigeria. Let's just focus on Lagos, Nigeria, or Nigeria as a whole. If you take the percentage of businesses in fashion today, about 70% of them are ready to wear. And not all of them are particularly original in terms of the kind of designs they churn out. Everybody is just being inspired by somebody else, and this is selling. Let me ask you a very simple question. Which woman right now doesn't own a boo-boo?
Right. Or even a corset dress.
Exactly, right? So that shows you that there's a market within Nigeria and then extensively across Africa. But businesses are struggling to meet the demand, to explore bigger markets because of the capacity to produce, the capacity to run the businesses. And that is exactly the problem that we have right now. You know, business owners do not have that luxury of time to start exploring events, corporate events, grants, fundings, places where they can learn, connect, collaborate, find opportunities, find investors. You know, if you compare the fashion industry to the tech space, you will see that we've been existing before tech.
Right.
Tech met us here, right? However,
But they seem to get more funding.
they seem to find a lot of access to funds. They have this united front. They talk. They are willing to share, to give back. But as compared to fashion, which I would say things are changing, we need to find a way to position ourselves to be considered very serious, for investors to start looking at us to say, oh, this business is doing XYZ amount monthly. You know, your figures are sound, your numbers are top notch. You as a business owner, you are ahead of the game, you're on top of the game. You know every detail that an investor will probably need to know from you. And then that makes it easy for them to say, listen, let us pour some funds or churn some funds into this industry. As much as we're all saying it again and again, there's potential. Let us do something about the potential.
So I like the fact that you've stated out some of those issues, right?
Okay.
Because, I mean, like you said, fashion is something that's really getting bigger now. It's no longer a vocation, it's now a profession, right? So let's talk about how can all of these problems be met. You made mention of funding. How do you think we can, I mean, how do you think an SME or women that are just coming into the fashion world, how do you think they can start positioning themselves right in order for them to get, you know, the necessary fundings that they will need? Let me give this example. We're bringing Vicky James to this conversation now. Now there's conversation around, oh, she's a very creative, you know, fashion designer. Then you now hear people say that's why she's dancing. That's why she's bringing her husband to the conversation, because she has an issue with sustaining the brand. Do you understand? For her to be relevant, for people to still talk about her, for her to get business, for people to, you know, still promote her and all of that, for people to be able to wear her dress, For people to be able to wear her dress, she has to be doing certain things on social media so that she'll always be in the face of people. So you say that sustainability is literally like a problem too when it comes to the fashion world. So how can this be addressed? Let's start with that.
So I think I would use Vicky James. I have a very different perspective about her.
Oh, okay, tell me.
There's the Vicky James brand and there's the Vicky James person.
Content creator.
As a person, she has a brand and then she has a fashion brand.
Okay.
Those are two different things.
Okay.
She's building a personal brand aggressively. And it has a huge influence. It has a huge influence on the brand, Vicky James brand. Now, what she does as a brand is luxury couture. I mean, she does ready to bespoke clothing, meaning made to measure. It requires a lot of like hours of beading, hours of detailing. Now, she cannot use content creating to sustain that kind of business. However, as a brand herself, she can sustain that business, meaning that if Vicky James as a person, as a personal brand, stays relevant, there's a constant attention that would still go to her brand, the Vicky James brand. Now, what she's doing in terms of cooking, makeup, get ready with me, all of those things that she's doing, that is who she is as a person. I think that if you take a closer look, we can applaud her because she has a very successful business. Well, at least by observation. But I believe she does have a successful business.
Right.
She's very shrewd, she's very disciplined, she's very hardworking, which means that she has put structure in place for a business, the ready-to-wear business, to run successfully. I mean, she has Ekiran, I think. There's a ready-to-wear line, and then there's the couture line. And all of these are the business models she has created. You see, every other thing that she's doing is her building a brand for herself. Now, people forget that just like every other business, fashion brands are independent entities on their own. whatever money she's making whatever money Vicky James brand as a fashion brand is making is different from what she will be making as a content creator.
True.
Right? So I would use another person, for example. There's a person called the Style Infidel, right? That is his name as a stylist. But he also has the Style Infidel studio, under which as bride of the Style Infidel, groom of the Style Infidel. These are products, these are packages that the business offers. But for him as a person, you see that he goes to events, fashion events as a judge. He's called to come and style GT Fashion Weekend. Now that earning goes to him, not the brand. So it is different. And when you look at Vicky James, it looks like she's doing a lot of things. Lately, she has started wearing other brands. What does that tell us? She's very comfortable in her skin. That's what it means. She's not scared of wearing other brands because she's not doing ready to wear. She's not doing the generic, everyday, easy to wear that you can just buy for 40,000 naira, 60,000 naira, 30,000 naira, 100,000 naira. That's not what she's doing, right? She's separating herself from the business, and she's doing it very well. Now, aside from all the many things she's doing, I think that she has successfully been able to create structure. You need people, which is where I eventually would go in this conversation. I hope. We need people who can help you build such systems, right? So, you know, as much as she has all of this going on, people say, does she rest? You know, is 24 hours enough?
I mean,
it's all done, systems and structures, processes that people are, I'm sure there's somebody managing her itinerary. She's got very efficient content team. She's got great branding team. I mean, literally, that's what she's doing. And that's why she's a success story within a very short period of time.
Okay, so with all of these things you stated now, right? Because we are looking forward to women that are coming into the fashion world. So are you stating now that for everybody that come, they should have a personal, they should first off separate their business from themselves and try to build themselves so that it can impact on their business?
So I think that it starts with knowledge.
Okay.
So you have an idea and you go to your family and you say, I'm really interested in fashion.
Right.
The next thing they say is, so which fashion school are you going to? There's just that general assumption that when somebody says, I'm interested in fashion, it has to be cutting and sewing. There is so much in the fashion industry that is yet to be explored on this side of the world. And when a person hurries out to start a brand, they are literally putting the carts before the horse, sorry. You know, there's so much that needs to go on before you think you're ready to start a brand. When you are interested in fashion, what I always coach people to do is to intern, work for a business. Not because you just don't want to start your brand, but because you need to build expertise. In doing so, you learn on somebody else's account. You make errors. I don't like saying that because businesses will be like, that's not what I want. But that's the fact. You learn to work under supervision. You understand the nitty-gritty of running a business. Fashion is 80% business and 20% creativity. I mean, if I design this boo-boo, I need to spend more time marketing, branding, packaging, selling, customer service, quality control. I can go on and on. And guess what? All of these roles I've mentioned can be occupied by different people.
Sure.
So successfully for me, I've had people that I've coached who have now chosen to focus on procurement. I like to go to Aba. I like to go to Lagos Island. I just like buying. Focus on procuring for businesses. I like to watch the details on production. Focus on quality control. Before you know it, you're building expertise in an area. Aside from your general love for the industry, that is what we are lacking. So I am not saying that go and get, I'm not saying don't start your business. I'm saying there's a process to it, right? It's just like lawyers. You would find lawyers who start their own law firms, but for the most part, many of them tend to work with a law firm to sort of just put to practice the theory. So if you have all of this theory in your head, where are you experimenting? Where are you trying it out? So the very first couple of steps to take really is to go into the industry, get deep into the mother portal, like dip your hand in different aspects, try different things out. You might end up finding out that you're not even a cotton and sewing person. You don't even like designing. You like sales. You like photography. You like. Then that's at that point you begin to discover what you like. For the most part, many people, it has cost them maybe 5 to 10 years before they eventually realize this is exactly the niche I want to focus on. But with coaching, which is what we offer at Obsidian and many other things, you can easily identify that early on. You have a map for your career, just like every other person in any other industry. Fashion is not different. Now, I would like to round up by saying, we have a lot of Africans in diaspora who are proud to wear made in Nigeria, made in Africa. The market is literally screaming. I mean, the demands are crazy. Now, if the demands are crazy, it means that businesses are being inspired to produce more. There's the funds to run production, which implies that they need capacity, which implies that they need people. So if you're interested in fashion, where exactly are you positioning yourself?
That's a very good way to end this conversation. And we'll continue after this short break from what you have just highlighted. So please stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back, viewers. We've been having really interesting conversation here, and I am also being informed because seeing what you have said now, like I mentioned behind the scene, that the fashion industry sometimes have a stereotype to it. We are almost so focused on one aspect. Like I told you, if I had known about this in secondary school, because post-secondary school, there was always this acclaim of learn a skill. So it's either catering or fashion or computer training. And to me, fashion was a no-no, simply because I just didn't like any needle and thread activity. Though I like seeing beautiful clothes and everything, but the fact that I have to be cutting, so I felt like, nah, this isn't for me. But seeing that there are other aspects to, you know, open up even beyond garment production. So I know you mentioned it briefly, but I want you to open it much more. What are the other areas in this industry that we can expose even younger generations to, so that when people are coming into this industry and they want to, you know, further develop the economy, because what we're looking at is economic development, positioning ourselves on a global stage beyond the usual routine. What are these, you know, opportunities that are available?
So I have a mentor that always says that lately when he's talking to graduates, he says, go back to the foundation. Understand basic principles of business. So imagine if after secondary school, while you are being inspired or motivated or encouraged to go learn a trade, you're also being taught the rudiments of business, right? I mean, I think it is absolutely wise to learn a trade. I think it comes from a good place. When you look at what our history tells us, when you look at our culture, we're naturally entrepreneurial in our mindset as Nigerians. Every tribe, I mean, Igbos, Hausas, Yorubas, they all have areas that they focus on in terms of skills, right? But the one thing I would like to pick on from the Igbos is that they are solid entrepreneurs when it comes to business. From a young age, you know, you have the Uwa boy. They're exposed to business. They're there learning for 4 years, 5 years.
Sometimes 7 years.
Yes, I mean, and throughout this period, you are taught how to sell. You're taught how to attend to a customer. I mean, there's this movie, I'm trying to remember, is it Afamefuna?
Afamefuna.
Yeah, you know, sometimes people don't value things, and we can talk down on the extremities in some cases, but that kind of movie just promotes or depicts the positive side of apprenticeship, right?
Yes.
Now, so there's nothing wrong with learning a trade. However, how can we balance it? How can we make it a lot more relevant today? Because you see, Nigeria and Africa has the largest population of youths in the world. And that means that we have the future workforce. Now, that also implies we need to go back to harness the younger people. So for secondary school leavers, I would say it should be a double-edged sword in their learning journey. As you're learning the skills, you're learning the business aspect of it. You're also learning, you know, there's also the grit that comes with apprenticeship. Nowadays, you just go to a fashion school for 3 months, 6 months, you know, and you're out. And like you said, what are the opportunities? What are the new opportunities available? There are a lot. Beyond just going to a fashion school, I personally don't even encourage people to go to a fashion school first. I say, if you're interested in fashion, find a business and just plug yourself in and learn. Personal assistant, front desk, admin, design assistant, creative assistant, whatever it is, just put yourself in the space and begin to explore. In you exploring, you begin to see your own strengths. It's like an introspective journey for yourself. You're checking yourself out. You're saying, oh, they taught us how to cut and sew. I know how to do it, but I really cannot bear to sit down to bid. For what? Can I just go and meet the customer and tell the customer why he or she needs to buy this outfit? I can do this with ease. Can I please just take the pictures? I mean, can I create the videos, you know? It's at that point you begin to discover what you like. Now, today, we have different fields in fashion. I mean, all the way to technology. There's a lady that I really admire, Nigerian, Kemisola Bolarinwa. She was the one who founded Smart Bra. Now, she literally had, I think, a relative who had cancer and decided to use our tech skills to design a bra that can detect cancer. Wow. Now, in my head, I see that as the future of fashion. I'm seeing that as an opportunity. So I say to people, what do you like? Someone says, oh, I really just like talking. Great. You can merge that with fashion.
Oh, great. We like talking. How can we merge that with
fashion journalism? Yeah, there's almost nothing that exists that cannot be paired with fashion. Science, environmental studies, accounting, human resource, data analysis. I mean, I can go on and on. What it does for you is that it helps you find a niche. It means that there would be almost nobody like you with your level of expertise. Then we now go back to what inspired you, your background, your culture, your goals. You end up becoming very unique. I like to teach. I like to coach. I like to talk. I like to train. I had a business. I found out that 70% of the time I was training my team. When I had a business, you know, then I had to literally sit down with myself to say, let us go all out and pursue this path. And it's been rewarding, slow but rewarding, because I've seen a lot of success stories. So there are a lot of opportunities: photography, videography, science can be merged. People who have background in geography, environmental studies, and they think that there's no opportunity in fashion. There is sustainability, eco-friendly designs. I mean, there's so much recycled fashion, reuse. Like, there's just so much. The opportunities are endless.
We really need to break out of these stereotypes. We're just thinking fashion is good for 6 months to 1 year, cut shop, and then come out and open your own.
Even if you go to the biggest fashion institution, you end up seeing that a lot of people still find a way to identify their niche. You just have to. If not, you will be bobo.
You keep going around the circles.
Yeah, you keep going. You just be like every other person. Meanwhile, there are people who do not understand anything in fashion, but they understand business. And they've seen the fashion industry and they just tapped into it with the same business skills that they've probably explored in the food industry, in the health industry, in the care industry, and they just bring it to fashion and they're successful.
So let's expatiate a bit about how the future of fashion is looking, because I mean, just like she Oluchi made mention of the fact that the reason why we're having this conversation is for us to see where we can also take the economy to, because we already have so many problems in this country like this. So let's talk about where the fashion is going to. And I like the fact that you made mention of technology. Okay. Now, are there policies, because you also made mention of policies as well, are there policies that should be implemented? Are there things, I want us to talk about things that we can actually put into the fashion industry that can actually help the future, Thanks to technology, we have social media now that can help a lot of, I think there was somebody who was having a conversation where the person said, there's nobody now that is not a marketer, there's nobody that's not a content creator, because social media has just helped you amplify that. Once you have a business, you have to show it again to, the outside audience, apart from the people you have around you, you have to keep networking, and social media has just, has just helped with that. So looking at the future now, what are those things you think should be put in place, policies that should be implemented? Let's just talk a bit about that.
So I think the future of fashion is very bright.
Okay.
But it depends on how ready we are to shine the light, right?
I like that.
I think that technology is going to be a huge advantage for us in Nigeria and Africa. Now, if you see the Western world, they are currently battling fast fashion, overproduction, businesses churning out too much product everywhere, looking for where to sell it, get rid of waste. We haven't gotten to that phase yet, and it's a good thing. As Nigerians and Africans, our culture really is first bespoke. We like the experiential fashion. We want to walk into a store. We want someone to take our measurement, give us attention, counsel us, advise us on what to buy, tell you what suits your skin, just
beautiful in it.
And all of that. So we still have that culture, and we find that many businesses today are starting to explore ready-to-wear on a larger scale, and it's good. But the balance for us will then be to leverage on technology. What do I mean by this? Now you can see designs before you even produce it, meaning that with technology, with 3D and AI, you can actually come up with an entire collection and let the market...
And it doesn't stifle creativity?
No, it doesn't. No, technology is not against man.
Of course.
Technology literally is the aid and assist and make it easier. It's like speed. It saves time, it saves costs of production. So if I were to design a new collection today, I would leverage technology. I can design 12 looks, put them online, and see how people respond. The first 3, first 4, with the best interactions, tells me what I need to spend more money producing and marketing, as opposed to the norm of just producing all 12, waiting for people to react. And then you have this stock that is not moving, it's not selling. That's a typical example. Technology is also, let me use social media. When I coach people, I tell them, it is time for you to reevaluate your use of digital platforms. It's one of the easiest ways for people to find your footprints in any industry. Why not fashion? So revitalize your social media. Let it show your interests. Let it, for example, if I'm looking to hire, I would ask you, what's your social media? I want to see what you're doing. How about you put your portfolio on your page? How about you start telling stories about things you like? You said you're interested in journalism. How about you write your thoughts on industry happenings? You write articles and you put them on your page. It sort of tells me what you are really interested in, as opposed to you telling me, I have passion for fashion. What's more to that, So you can reposition your use of social media, follow the right people, interact with the right people, share your work, find collaborations, work on projects, put it out there. I mean, you'll be surprised where social media can get you. It's beyond your immediate environment. Anybody from anywhere around the world can find your work, interact with you. So I think there's so much to technology, even in the space of production, in the space of processes, softwares that businesses can use to optimize their work processes, their team, quality control. I mean, technology has a huge role to play. We even have I have a few colleagues in the industry. One of them just launched a community for fashion professionals, leveraging tech. So you can be on that community, either the freemium, which is the free option, the paid option, the business option. There are a lot of opportunities like that in going on. We have another product dedicated to operations for fashion business. So I mean, technology can be leveraged in almost any way that you could possibly think of.
Awesome. So a little bird told me that you're cooking something.
Yes, so we are.
So I want you to like open that up for us and let's see how, you know, how it's going to be of advantage to women.
Okay.
Of course, you're a coach. You've mentioned you love to
Absolutely.
teach and all of that. So what's this thing that you have been cooking?
So
we want to know.
when we launched in 2022, we started with the job fair, the very first fashion job fair in Nigeria and Africa. It was a huge leap, but we felt that there was a need to bring talent to businesses in fashion, right? Give talents the opportunities to meet businesses and tell businesses what they are capable of, interact with them, get a job, get a contract, get a freelance opportunity, whatever it is. And we haven't turned back since then. 2 years ago, we had a collaboration with Jobberman and the MasterCard. And each time we have this job fair, we had the same outcome, which was that we needed to upskill the talent. We needed to sort of help them improve on their management skills, meaning that we have a lot of creatives, but they don't have the management skills. Can I hire you to come and be a business manager? It's hard, right? So we identified that gap, and then we brought in a solution called The Bridge. And we launched The Bridge last year, and we had amazing first cohorts, and we've taken it a step further, and we are launching a space also called The Bridge. Now, the purpose of this space is that it's a multifunctional space for creatives to find opportunities and to network with fashion industry peers, right? So we have a fashion job center here where you can come to get counseled, get coaching. We help you review your CVs. We guide you on.
All for free, or there's something meant to it?
There's something to it because it's a community as well that we are trying to build, and there's a co-working space here, so businesses can actually have content creators, find content creators here in our space, find graphics designers, website designers, because businesses in fashion also need all of these solutions. You're looking for a lawyer, you're looking for a copywriter, digital marketer, you can find them in this space. To the end that we upskill to feed the pipeline in the fashion industry. The space also has podcast room for entrepreneurs. We have offices, so we're just trying to build like a center for fashion people and people looking for opportunities in fashion. I always say this, people should stop assuming that you have to be in fashion to work in fashion. You can be a new graduate looking for a job. I think fashion is one of the easiest places to find jobs, an accountant, whatever role you are. And our job center is strategically located, right? In Lagos, it's in Yaba. We're launching this March. So if you are interested in starting your career, you just want to get deep into gaining experience. Fashion is very dynamic. It is fast-paced. It is challenging. You have to be on your feet. You have to be a fast thinker. You have to be a problem solver, innovative. You don't need supervision. If you are someone that likes that kind of challenge, just come to our job center. We'll link you up.
That's amazing. Gosriti, we have a date.
We do have a date.
All right, as we begin to wrap up the show, I'm so sorry. We need to wrap up very shortly. It's still the Women's Week.
Yes.
And this last conversation will be about collaboration, because you did mention something about people. You know, you mentioned, I remember when you were talking that I hope we can get back to this. So I want you to ask, in the fashion industry, especially for the women's community, how do you see collaboration in that space? Is this something to applaud, or do we still have a lot of work to do there?
Wow. Okay.
I think that hits deep.
It did. And I think because we're focused on women, I should sort of say that there's room for collaboration. It's just that we found, so there are different generations in any industry. So we're in like our third generation fashion professionals right now.
Okay.
And prior to now, I think it's been a lot of, generally speaking, it's a lot of, this is my business, let me guide my business. People are not really open to sharing trade secrets. But we see a lot of conversations going on now, initiatives supporting women. So women have had to come out of their shell. They've had to find or lean on each other. However, I think that we're now going to witness more collaboration in terms of products, in terms of branding, in terms of two people coming together to run a business. I think those are the kind of collaborations that we need now in the fashion space. Women sharing ideas, women going to funding events together, women exploring grant opportunities together, women solving problems together. And I think that a lot of that has started happening, and more will come in the future because collaboration is the key. It's one of the easiest ways to achieve results. And say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far,
go together.
Go together. And I think that that's where women are today. We're gradually coming to the point where, I mean, I have a lot of female colleagues in the fashion industry that we've actually worked on projects together. So speaking from my personal point of view, I think that we are now very open. And then those that have gone ahead of us are now also stretching for a helping hand to say, come up, guys, you guys, this is the way. Come here, attend this event. Let me open the door for you. Talk to this person. You know, they are now they're no longer gatekeeping. They're now giving us access. They are mentoring. They are your sponsors. You know, I think there's a lot of collaboration and opportunities.
That's going on. Thank you so much. It's been a very interesting conversation, and kudos to the good work you're doing at your advisory. Obsidian Advisory, right? Yes. Africa. Very amazing work. Thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you for breaking stereotypes in our mind. The fashion industry is not just cotton, so there are a lot of opportunities available. And I'm sure you also enjoyed this segment. This is where we wrap up our women's series this week. And next week, we're coming back hotter and better from Monday through to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So please stay tuned. Bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Prime Time. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?